बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ वरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन तीरावनचारि तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव तुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव रे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव रे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद रे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद रे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी रे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी रे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय श्री राधा गोविंद जी के जय श्री गौर निताई की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा I'm reading from Prabhupada Lilamrit. Mr. Goldsmith meets his quota of singers, a handful of sympathizers with enough reverence toward the Swami, to want to help him. The first trustees, who will hold office for a year until the first annual meeting of the corporation, are Michael Grant, who puts down his name and address without ever reading the document. Mike's girlfriend Jane and James Green. No one seriously intends to undertake any formal duties as trustee of the religious society, but they are happy to help the Swami by signing his pledging society into legal existence. According to law, a second group of trustees will assume office for the second year. They are Paul Gardiner, Roy, and Don. The trustees for the third year are Carl Huygens, Bill Epstein, and Raphael. None of them know exactly what the half a dozen legal-sized typed pages mean, except that Swamiji is forming a society. Why? For tax exemption, in case someone gives a big donation, and for other benefits an official religious society might receive. But these purposes hardly seem urgent or even relevant to the present situation. Who's going to make donations, except maybe for Mr. Goldsmith, who has any money. But Prabhupada is planning for the future, and he is planning for much more than just tax exemptions. He is trying to save his spiritual predecessors and fulfill the scriptural prediction of a spiritual movement that is to flourish for 10,000 years in the midst of the age of Kali. Within the vast Kali age, a period which is to last 432,000 years, the 1960s are but an insignificant moment. The Vedas describe that the time of the universe revolves through a cycle of 4 seasons or yugas. The Kali Yuga is the worst of time, in which all spiritual qualities of men diminish until humanity is finally reduced to a bestial civilization, devoid of human decency. However, the Vedic literature foretells a golden age of spiritual life, beginning after the advent of Lord Chaitanya and lasting for 10,000 years. An eddy that runs against the current Kali Yuga, with a vision that soars off to the end of the millennium and beyond, yet with his 2 feet solidly on the ground of Second Avenue, Prabhupada has begun an international society for Krishna consciousness. He has many practical responsibilities, paying the rent, incorporating his society, and paving the way for a thriving worldwide congregation of devotees. Yet he doesn't see his humble beginning as limiting the greater scope of his divine mission. He knows that everything depends on Krishna, so whether he succeeds or fails, it is up to the Supreme. He has only to try. Let me share the screen. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have we got any others coming in, or just the 3 of us? Today's reading is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, the creation of the 4th order, chapter 25, text 25. Tamaha lalitam viraha swavira smita sobhanam snigdhenanga pukena sprishta premoda brahmada bruha sprishta premoda brahmada bruha Tamaha lalitam viraha Swarira susmita sobhanam Visnigdhena panga pukhena Visprasta pramoda Premoda brahmada dhruva. Anybody could repeat, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Tamaha lalitam vira, shabrida smita shovanam, snigdena panga punkena, sparsha pramoda brahma bhruva. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Tamaha lalitam viraha shabrira smita shobhanam snigdhena pango punkhena sprishta premoda brahmadhuva. Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Hare
thank
Krishna,
you.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji.
Tamaho lolitam viraha shabrira smita shobhanam snigdhena pango punkhena sprishtaha premad brahmad bhruva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Tamaha lalitam viraha sabridha smita shabhanam snigdhena panga punkhena sprashta bramad bhruva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else around?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Dandavat. Tamaha lalitam vira sabrida smita sobanam signena paranga varena sprista pramadbhurvaha.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Anybody else there? Okay, synonyms. Tam unto her, addressed Lalitam very gently, Veera the hero, Savira with shyness, Smita smiling, Sobanam very beautiful, Snigdhena by sex desire, Apanga Pukena by the arrow of glancing, Sprishta thus pierced, Prema Udbharamat, exciting love, Bhruva by the eyebrows. Translation and peppered by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, Prabhupada writes, Puranjana, the hero, became attracted by the eyebrows and smiling face of the very beautiful girl and was immediately pierced by the arrows of her lusty desires. When she smiled shyly, she looked very beautiful to Puranjan, who, although a hero, could not refrain from addressing her. Purport, every living entity is a hero in two ways. When he is a victim of the illusory energy, he works as an great hero in the material world, as a great leader, politician, businessman, industrialist, etc. And his heroic activities contribute to the material advancement of civilization. One can also become a hero by becoming master of the senses, a Goswami. Material activities are false heroic activities, whereas restraining the senses from material engagement is great heroism. However great a hero one may be in the material world, he can be immediately conquered by the lumps of flesh and blood known as the breast of women. In the history of material activities, there are many examples like the Roman hero Antonio, who became captivated by the beauty of Cleopatra. Similarly, a great hero in India named Bajirao became a victim of a woman during the time of Maharashtrian politics, and he was defeated. From history, we understand that formerly politicians used to employ beautiful girls who were trained as Vishkanya. These girls had poison injected into their bodies from the beginning of their lives so that in due course of time they would become so immune to the poison and so poisonous themselves that simply by kissing a person they could kill them. These poisonous girls were engaged to see an enemy and kill him with a kiss. Thus, there are many instances in human history of heroes who have been curbed simply by women. Being part and parcel of Krishna, the living entities is certainly a great hero. But due to his own weakness, he becomes attracted to the material features. Krishna bahir mukha han bhoga vancha kare, nikatastha maya tare, japatiya dhare. It is said that in the Prema Vivarta that when a living entity wants to enjoy material nature, he is immediately victimized by the material energy. A living entity is not forced to come into the material world. He makes his own choice, being attracted by beautiful women. Every living entity has the freedom to be attracted by material nature or to stand as a hero and resist that attraction. It is simply a question of the living entities being attracted or not being attracted. There is no question of his being forced to come into contact with material energy. One who can keep himself steady and resist the attraction of material nature is certainly a hero and deserves to be called a Goswami. Unless one is master of the senses, he cannot become a Goswami. The living entity can take one or two positions in this world. He may become a servant of his senses, or he may become a master of them. By becoming a servant of the senses, one becomes a great material hero. And by becoming master of the senses, he becomes a Goswami or a spiritual hero. Tamaho lalitam virha savira smita sobhanam snigdhena pangam bhukena sprishta premodharam pramodam premod prabhamat bhuru. Puranjana, the hero, became attracted by the eyebrows and the smiling face of the very beautiful girl and was immediately pierced by the arrows of her lusty desires. When she smiled shyly, she looked very beautiful to Puranjan, who, although a hero, could not refrain from addressing her. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Loknath Swaminiti Namne Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Mudirya Srimantam Swap Katha Krishna Punya Sarvanam Kirtanam Hirdayanto Isto Hai Bhadrani Vidinoti Shrutasatam Nashta Prayashu Abhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestike. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavat which is the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasdeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chaksurnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Jaitam Sruto Pangor Mama Manamater Gati Mate Sarvas Padam Bhoja Radha Madana Mohan. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranmami Hari Priya. Vancha kalpataru bhayascha kripa sindhu bhayo yecha patitanam pavan bhayo vaishnavyo namo namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Recapping the stories so far in fourth canto, the last chapter, we heard how Lord Shiva instructed the sons of King Barishat in doing devotional service or doing austerities, and he taught them a prayer of Lord Krishna. And the princes were undergoing severe austerities. They in the water for 10,000 years. And while they were doing austerities, tapasya, their father was performing different types of fruitive yagnas. So once Narada Muni goes and asks the king what he desired to achieve by performing so many ritualistic fruitive activities. And he showed him that the animals that he was sacrificing, they were waiting in the sky, waiting for him to die so that they could take revenge of his death with their horns. So now the king asked Narad Rishi to guide him out of the entanglement of fruitive activities. And this is also mentioned that those who are interested only in the beautiful life, namely remaining as a householder entangled by sons and a wife, and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. But Svarupa or Bhagavatam tells us that such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life. So Narad tells the king, Barishat, is trying to advise him what he should be doing or guide him by telling him the story of Puranjan, who had a friend, Avigyata, or the unknown. King Puranjan had unlimited desires for sense enjoyment. He traveled all over the world searching for happiness or a place where his desires could be fulfilled. And he comes down to under the Himalayas, the Bharatvarsh or India. He reaches India. And there it is, I'm not going to explain the significance of the names that's given there because that's coming further in the classes, in the chapter. He finds the city with 9 gates. And there he found a very beautiful woman wandering around. She had 10 servants with her, and each servant had hundreds of wives accompanying him. Protected, and she was also protected from all sides by 5 hooded snakes. These are very significant things which will be coming later, so I'm not going to dwell on that. She was very beautiful and young, like a denizen of the heavens, like Apsaras. And she appeared very anxious to find a suitable husband. And in literature, beautiful woman's work is great, is described as Gajigamani. They work like great elephant. And Prabhupada, in his prepared notes, a woman's breast are described as agents of Maya, meant to victimize opposite sex. Is bound and born and sincere, and since is a foreigner attempted to harm. Prabhupada also mentions about a couple of cases here. Antonio, who fell in love with Cleopatra. But he also mentions Bajirao, how I'm going to leave the Cleopatra one, but spend some time on Bajirao. He was born on 8 December 1720 and lived till 23 June 1761. And he also often referred to as Nana Sahib, the first. And he was the 8th Peshwa. Peshwa is the prime minister of the Maratha Confederacy. Under his leadership, the borders of Maratha Empire expanded to Peshawar, which is the present-day Pakistan, and down to Srirangapatna in the south, and Medinipur, the present-day West Bengal. You can see this almost whole of India was under his confederacy. In his 20-year reign as the Peshwa, Nana Sahib subdued, or the Bajirao subdued 3 major powers: the Mughals in the north, Nizams in the south, and the Bengal Sultanate in the eastern side. He also weakened the Afghan control over Punjab and stopped their repeated invasions on the imperial capital of Delhi. In the Deccan plateau was the king Chhatrasal. Chhatrasal was the, they called Deccan plateau. Those people from India would know. Is bound by is in the southern India, located between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, and is defined as the peninsular region between these ranges that is south of the Narmada River. In the north, it is bound by the Satpura and Vindhya ranges. So this king, Chhatrasal, had a Muslim Iranian courtesan, or called escort. And she mentioned that Iranian women are very beautiful and very fair. And King Chhatrasal had a daughter from this woman and named her Mastani. Mastani was a skilled horse rider and could handle weapons as well. She could go fight as well. This trait, along with her beautiful and courage, made her a class apart from other princesses. She was a skilled warrior, fond of hunting. And when Bajirao happened to saw her in his expeditions, he was going to uh, when he was on a hunting expedition, and he fell in love with her and wanted to marry. His mother, Bajirao's mother, objected, and his ministers also objected, because even now it's not very common that Hindus marry Muslims. And you can imagine it's in the 18th century. It wasn't thought of a Hindu would marry a Muslim girl. But he was so mesmerized by her beauty, Mastani's beauty, that he would not agree to anybody. Despite all the objections, he decided to marry her. And finally, the mother gave in, and the ministers also gave in. So this is one example of Bajirao, and fell in love, fell for the beauty of a woman, though against the culture of he married her. But she, not like what Prabhupada has mentioned, his pepper, where she did not poison him. She was very faithful to him, and she would even go to war with Bajirao. She fought many wars with it. There are other examples in our history, like in Mahabharata, Bhishma, the father, also fell in love. What was it? Santanu fell in love with the tribal girl, and the whole Mahabharata starts with this. The father put in a condition that the son born of a daughter would be the ruler, even though Bhishma was the elder son there. And then the story goes on. The Bhishma took a vow not to get married, and thus his father was able to marry that girl. And within Mahabharata, another example is Duryodhana. He also fell in love with Bhanumati, and Karna we had a Swayamvar, and Karna won her defeated all the other princes or kings in the arena, and but wanted to give Bhanumati. He won Bhanumati for his friend Duryodhana, but Bhanumati put a condition there, say, unless Karna marries her friend, she would not marry Duryodhana. So because of the love there, Karan gave in a friend, and also because of friendship, Karan gave in to the request. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining to us, not just Srila Prabhupada, in the Bhagavatam tells us that there are two ways a person can become a hero. One is becoming a hero of Maya. For example, the great leaders, politicians, businessmen, industrialists, and so forth, that becoming a victim of Maya. And the other way, Prabhupada mentioned that you become a Goswami. In Ramayana, Lord Rama explains to Lakshman. Lakshman once asked him, what makes people fall into the traps of Maya? Like in Gita is explained that people, when Arjuna is also mentioning that people fall into the trap as if somebody is forcefully taking them into the traps of Maya. So Lord Ram explains to Lakshman that Maya doesn't conquer anybody. We, the human beings themselves, fall into it, go for it. And the example given there is that where the what you call these people who the Madaris, the people who capture monkeys. And how do they capture monkeys? People coming from India and maybe knowing it, the Madari puts some chana in a clay pot and puts in a place where the monkeys are playing around, monkey present. And what the monkeys do, they go and put both hands and grab the chickpeas, chana, and try to pull out handfuls of chana without it. And then, the mouth of a clay pot is narrow, so gets entangled. They are not able to withdraw their hand, pull their hand out of the pot, and then the Madari comes and ties the monkey away, and then takes the monkey around for playing, for show. And what he gets is a few grains of chickpeas, the same chickpeas which caught him. So similarly, the Maya is there, the material nature is there. Material people complain many times in classes and how that Maya catches us. Maya doesn't catch us. We catch the Maya. We go into it. Another example is when fishermen, they go and put a net in the water, and they just don't chase the fishes into the net. The fish themselves come in the net. Similarly, Maya is there. Maya doesn't come in, chase us into her grips. We ourselves go into it. And another example of fishing is that when they throw hooks in the water to catch fish, the hooks are dangling with the food. The fish themselves come in, swallows, gulps it, and then get caught up. So these are examples of how we get entangled into the Maya. Srila Prabhupada tells us that the weakest point for us is the beauty of a woman, and how in history I could not find or didn't want to spend time finding out examples of Vishkanya. I thought Prabhupada's advice here is good enough, that people were preparing, how people prepare Vishkanyas. I don't know whether that's a legend or true examples. I have no idea. So that's all I have got to say about it. Anybody else got something to add to? Please come forward.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
You have nicely mentioned about the text content, and you tabulated the way it is mentioned here, and with the very good examples of we know from history about this Bajirao, how And we have a picture already in the Bollywood, Bajirao Mastani, and the story translates the same thing you explained. Is yes, it is like that only. We are attracted. The beauty of the woman attracts us. They don't trap us. So it is it is an understanding that we are trapped. So we trap ourselves into the illusion. The illusion doesn't come and catches us. So this understanding, by explaining the example so nicely, how these monkeys are caught and fish are caught. So these are the examples shows us that they are there, but we get attracted. So two things it shows whether you can become a hero of the two things. One is by become a materialistic person or materially attached to become a Godas, or you can become a Goswami by controlling the senses, or to become a master of the senses. So that analogy is given over here to understand from the King Puranjana how he was attracted by the beauty of the woman who was moving around in the garden. So this tells us to be aware of the beauty or beauty of the nature or beauty of the woman, to make ourselves to understand with intelligence, to go for a hero of Goda's status or a Goswami status. So that understanding need to be very, very prominent, so that we go on the right perspective and understand the impact of the heroism. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also want to remind this is just the beginning of Puranjana's story. There's a lot of teachings there, which I don't want to dwell on it because it's coming. This is just the beginning, so I'll leave that to because 9 gates, a city of 9 gates, and protected by a snake and soldiers. It resembles something much more than just a beautiful girl. But I don't want to take the fun out of other people's classes, so I'll just leave there. It's just the beginning. It's a lot more to come, and that the city and the girl are representing different things. Anybody else, please? Any question, comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat.
Thank you very much for the nice class. And the most important point that comes out, what we have tried to explain, is that when the mind is not controlled or our senses are not in control, we get the traps are around us, always and everywhere around us, and we get entrapped when we are not aware of what is, we are not controlling ourselves. And that's why in Bhagavad Gita, I think it is 267, it is mentioned that Indianami charatam jan janmano anubidhyate tadasya harati pragya vayurnavo vivambushi. One whose senses are not controlled, even one of the senses is not controlled, his position is like a boat in a sea, and where wind is blowing so tremendously, and the only option for him is to get drowned. That is the only chance. And so that happens to any of us who are not in a position to control our senses. Even one of the senses is enough for the downfall of one person. And there is no dearth of examples everywhere in our scriptures. And you have given the example of some of them also, and also in the current history also. You have given the example of Bajirao Peshwa. So what is our duty is that we should keep our senses in control. But again, who are too much attracted for sense enjoyment, it is very difficult for them to have control on their senses. And that's why I think it is 244 it is mentioned. It is mentioned that one who is too much attracted to sin, it is bhogo shajya prashoktanam kaya apurito chetusha. So those who are whose material enjoyment, who are too much under that, and it will build at their mind, and ultimately they will fall victim to it. So our duty is to remain to control our senses, and that can be done only when we are connected to the Supreme Lord by our because that is when the soul is connected to the Supreme Lord, then soul can control our intelligence, and our intelligence is not contaminated. And when the intelligence is not contaminated, our mind is also controlled. And in this way, we can get out of the trap, because the traps are around us, but we don't fall victim to those traps. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. That is my realization of this verse. Thank you.
Yeah, it's mentioned that this material nature of the sun are very strong, but it also mentions in our scripture, that's the whole purpose of the scripture, the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and then you'll come across this story as well. It's no point in claiming that material nature of Maya is very strong. A lot of people, when they get trapped, they give an excuse, oh, Maya fell into it. How do we protect ourselves? The simple way is the devotional service to the Supreme Personality. We divert our senses in the service of the Lord, like our tongue in eating prasadam, which not just satisfies our desire for eating different types of food, it also purifies our body and our eyes, glancing at the beautiful features of of course, we can't see the Lord, but the deities in the temple or at home, seeing the beauty of the Lord and Srimati Radharani, and using your other senses like cooking for the Lord, going to the temple, doing some service, using our, Ambrish Maharaj, using all the senses, how you dovetail your senses toward the service of the Lord. Don't get, a lot of people do get into or give that excuse, oh, I fell victim of Maya. But our scriptures, our acharyas, our gurus tell us how to control our senses, how to guide ourselves away from the trap. The trap is there. The tools, we have the choice whether we fall in the trap or know the trap is there and guide yourselves away from it. So the teaching here is that we need to, there are ways of guiding ourselves away from it, not just making us falling victim and then making us got tempted by Maya, got tempted by this and that. That is why our literature is there, giving us examples and advising us how to stay away from it. And the only way is the service of the Supreme Personality of God, and dovetailing all our services towards it so that we can protect ourselves. Thank you. Anybody else want to add? It's a very interesting chapter or story about Puranjan. So I urge people to attend these classes daily and learn something about it, rather than I've heard a lot of people giving example. There are a lot of examples, even within ISKCON, where people falling victims of Maya and then giving excuse, oh, Maya is strong. Of course, Maya is strong. That's why the Lord made it that way. But there are also ways of protecting ourselves, keeping checked. Anybody else? No, then let's wind it up.
Yes, Prabhuji, it appears there is no other person to make comment, so the class may be concluded.
Tamaha lalitam vira savarir smita sobanam snigdha panga punkena sprishta premodha bharamada bhurva. Puranjan, the hero, became attracted by the eyebrows and smiling face of the very beautiful girl and was immediately pierced by the arrows of her lusty desires. When she smiled shyly, she looked very beautiful to Puranjan, who, although a hero, could not refrain from addressing her. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All the attendees ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Till
His
next
grace
time.
Ashok and Prabhu ki.
Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
All glories to the
Hari.
Samriddhi
Hari.
Murti.
Hari.